This is a video by Richmond. Today we're working on a Walbro carburetor. This particular carburetor is off of a McCulloch chainsaw. And what we're going to do today is we are going to rebuild it. The first thing we need to do is find out where the model number is so we can get the correct parts we need. Now, if we spin it right over here next to the fuel inlet, right there, you can see the model number. In this particular case, it's WT439. Now, the next thing we need to do is to find the parts. I found this great place to find parts. Here is the people right here. It's Mowers for You, and you can go to their website. It's just mowersforyou.com, and they have about the cheapest place to get them, and they're very good. They're very fast, and I was very happy. Now here is the kit for this particular one. It's a very common one, K10 watt, and this has all the parts you need in there. And what is it? It's like $8 or something like that. You can't go wrong. Alright. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the anti-tamponing pieces on the screw because we're going to tamper with them later. So let's pull that. Now after removing those anti-tamponing pieces, next thing I did was put a little white paint right there on the ends of the screws. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the screw all the way in and count the turns. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We should be getting close. Take it easy. You don't want to be very light with this screw. Right there. So that's about 5 turns out. And what we'll do is we'll use that as our baseline. So when we rebuild the carburetor, we can put it close and fine-tune it from there. So now we can remove that screw, and we want to label it. This particular one is the high screw. And it keeps coming out. I mean, let's get a wider screwdriver here. Okay. And now we can look at it and clean it. And we want to do that to the other screw right now. Now we taped our screws. This is the high, 5 turns out. Here is the low, 1.5 turns out, so we can't mess them up. Next thing we're going to do is remove the pump diaphragm cover right here. We're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver. And there might be some gasoline when we remove it. Now this throttle will be underneath there, so we'll just move that out of the way. There we go. It's been on a long time. It didn't want to come off. Oh jeez. Look at the dirt in there. That's what was probably giving us a lot of problems. Alright. Now we want to be very careful here. it is. Alright, what we'll do is we'll set the gasket on top of this cover right here in the right orientation, and we'll set that aside. Be good if you have some little containers to put all these parts in. Next we need to remove this cover right here, which is over the metering diaphragm. Now pay attention to this little hole right here. You want to get it back into the right orientation. This one is pointing down towards the base, and we have some little Phillips screws, and they're not on there that tight. Everything on this carburetor is not crammed on, so try to remember how tight they were when you took them off, and try to duplicate the tightness when you put it back together. Now when we remove this cover, we're going to try just to use our fingernail to remove it, but it might be stuck. No, there it is. I see more crap there. Alright, let's try to peel this back. Get this diaphragm out of here. Well, I'm glad we got a new one, because we wrecked that one taking it apart. Alright. Next thing we want to do is pay attention to this lever right here. This one right here. Because when we put it back together, we want to make sure that it's adjusted correctly. Now, Walbro makes a gauge that goes over here and checks that. But what you can do is put your scale, there's a couple of little bosses right here, and it should be level to the top of that. And that will get it pretty close. Right there. So now we want to remove that. Actually, we're not going to remove the screw, we're just going to loosen it. Another Phillips head. And make sure we don't lose that spring, because the kit won't have the spring. Alright, that should be loose enough so we can get this out of there. Slide it out like that. Here's the spring that they don't give you. And we'll slide the little needle out of it. Okay. There's all our parts. Next thing we want to do is look at the screen here. Now, this one looks clean, but we don't want to take any chances. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove it, because it comes in with the kit. And I've got a pick right here. And we're gently going to go in there and lift up on it. Like so. And here's the little screen. And if you look in there, you should be able to look all the way through that hole and see on the other side. See that? So there's no blockage there. Alright, now that we have all our parts out, we can start cleaning it. And I'm going to use some throttle body cleaner or carb cleaner, whatever you have. And we want to spray in there. You can see it shooting out of the other holes. That's a good sign. And a little jet there. Now, if you happen to have one that's been sitting around a long time and it's got a lot of gum on it, you might have to let it set overnight to loosen all that up. This one's pretty clean, so what we're going to do is we're going to let that set for a little bit and shoot it again and use a little compressed air on it, and I think we'll be good to go. Here is our new screen, and we'll gently put that into place, and we're going to use a 1/4-inch punch and make sure that it's right in place, just like that. Now what we'll do, this is so small, we'll go with a magnifying glass and make sure that it is seated correctly. Alright, now we can install our new needle right in there, and the spring goes right in this cavity right here, and we have the new lever right here and pin, and you can see that this is the part right here that the spring, the spring seats right in that area, so that's going to be towards the spring. Alright, now this gets a little tricky. I'll try to engage it into the spring, underneath the screw, into the needle. I think I got it. I just screw down the screw just a little bit, right there. Now I'll look underneath. Let me back that off just a little bit and take a look. Make sure it's seated, which it is, and now we can just tighten it down. Okay, there it is. Alright, you want to double check your lever right there. Make sure it looks good, and if it does, take your new gasket out of the kit. That goes on first. Then we have the diaphragm with this metal piece right here that goes towards the carburetor, and we'll slide them right over the locating pins. And this cover goes down with this little vent hole, goes down, and we can put our screws in. Okay. one last screw here. These are very small Phillips head screws. And there we go. Next we need to install the diaphragm, gasket, and end cover. And this throttle right here gives you a little bit of a hassle. So what I'm going to do is, just to prevent it from getting in my way, I'm going to do that. Now we can put our diaphragm on and the gasket. And the end cover. You'll feel those locating pins. They'll go right into position and you'll know you got it. Just like that. Let's grab the screw. Tighten it down. This screw wasn't too tight. There we go. And we'll gently pull our screwdriver out. No harm done. And there it is. Next we need to put our high-low jets in. Going to remove the tape here and blast them with some throttle body cleaner just to make sure they're nice and clean. Make sure there's no glue on there before we put them in. Alright, we're all clean on our jet. Here's the low. Make sure you don't cross thread them in. Alright, this one is 1.5 out from bottom. So that's what we got to do right now. Here's the high screw. Now don't lose your little O-ring here on the screw. Okay, now this one was all the way in and 5 turns out. Alright, our screws are right back where they were, so the saw should start and we can adjust it from there. The kit does not give you a base gasket, so be warned about that. If you need one, make sure you get it ahead of time. And that's it. The carburetor is all back together. And that's all there is to rebuilding a Walbro carburetor.